It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Colin Montpetit, who has been a teaching faculty member in the Department of Biology at the University of Ottawa for the past 10 years. He currently teaches large enrolment courses in genetics, cellular physiology, and serves on a range of teaching and learning committees, including the U-Ottawa Senate Committee on Teaching and its Evaluation. He received his PhD in comparative physiology in 2003 and has held postdoctoral fellowships at the University of Toronto, as well as a faculty position at St Norbert's College in Wisconsin in the United States. He then became a faculty member of University of Ottawa. His research interests focus on the quality of learning in science courses and the effective use of technology in teaching and learning, including things like classroom response systems and blended learning. Colin was the recipient of the 2012-2013 André Lalonde Memorial Award for Science Professor of the Year and received the National Capital Educators Award in 2015, as well as the first prize in the Innovative Use of Educational Technology Excellence Awards last year. Colin is active in a range of professional organisations that promote professional development in science education, and it's my great pleasure to welcome him here today. Please.
Am I on? I'm on? Great. Okay. Wow, that's an echo. All right, thanks for staying. Okay, I know I'm standing between you and your drinks. Okay, I get that. But so before I really get to this talk, I have to admit I'm nervous in front of you right now. So because when I give an active learning talk, I need active learning in the talk, but I don't have much time to do that. So can we just do one exercise together? Can we do that? Can I have your love and do that? After we've done it, don't leave the room. Okay? I am Canadian, I'm weird, I'm French as well, it's just weird, okay? So I need to prove to my colleagues that I'm actually doing a plenary. They could not believe that I'm in New Zealand doing this. So I need proof as well. So I need all of you to stand up. That's my active engagement. Please stand up, please do this for me, okay? And we're gonna take a picture, okay? So just so we get the view. Another pose. Excellent. Thanks, Chris. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Now stay. 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 Okay. I move around quite a lot. This is part of my my energy. So we'll go through this, and I promise I'll try to get you to your drinks as fast as I can. Okay. All right. So I'm here. I'm talking about transforming my classroom with active learning technologies. Again, before I really get into that, I want to thank all the people that got me here to do this. My first time in New Zealand, it's phenomenal. So thank you to the people that got me here to do this and to share my story with you. And this morning, as I was watching John Brown's, was it Brown? O'Brien, when he was talking, sorry, I just don't remember names. There was a lot of connecting point with what I'm going to do today. And as I was looking at other talks as well, there was this component where I realized that there's a lot of administrators here and stuff like that, but of all your efforts to try to get the educational technology in the classroom, what I'm going to be talking about is how does it translate to learning? How does it translate to success in the classroom? So here it is again, my talk, Transforming the Classroom with Active Learning Technology. So this is a work in progress, 10 years into it. This is actually my 10th year anniversary at the University of Ottawa. And when I first took on this course, I thought I was going to be the best lecturer ever. I was going to change the world. I was going to get in front of my class with this high tempo, high energy talks. And I thought I was going to be the best lecturer and transform all of higher education on the planet. Guess what happened? An epic fail. Okay, year two, I thought, well, okay, I've got data now, so I'm going to change. I'm going to customize based on what I now know from my students. And I went lecturing again, and guess what happened? An epic failure. I'm surprised I still have my job today. Okay, but along the way, what happened is probably, 5, 6 years ago, it was my contract renewal, so it was my last year, so I was like, might as well go in a blaze of glory and get into all this active learning technology. whatever that is, right? So I took the plunge, and that's when I started winning prizes. I'm like, what? I was so resistant to all the technology, and I was being affected by all the barriers that are, you can imagine, about professors using technologies in the classroom. And I just went, okay, let's go cold turkey. Let's just go into this and see what happens. And now today, 5 years later, using technology, I've now transformed my course into an active learning zone, if you want. It's a blended learning course or format where we have, again, we have the online component. The students are initially exposed to the information, and then we have the face-to-face class where I get to engage my students in clicker case studies, peer instruction, just-in-time teaching. Of course, our labs. I'm not really going to talk about that today. And of course, the assessments. And something about the assessments that I want you to really focus on is this here, 2-stage collaborative exams. My students, I have 600 students in my class. We actually do exams where they end up working together. They have to collaborate to finish their exam. So when I look at that, as I was reflecting on how to change my course and the data that's going to help me do that, I really had to focus on, well, what will the face-to-face class look like so that I can prepare my students for my assessments? That was highly important to me. And at the same time, I had to connect these things with the learning outcomes of the program and of the course-specific outcomes as well. I had to connect all these things together. So along the way, of course, this is what I wanted to conquer, right? The daydreamers. Here's Pat looking at Kim. You shouldn't be doing that. Here's Barbara, the only one interacting with me. So of course, it was all about conquering that, changing let's go back here, changing the class experience so we can engage the students in the learning outcomes and engage them into relevant exercises. Okay, so let's go here now. So when Echo 360 came on the campus, I was jumping for joy now. All right, I slowly started with a clicker system with the remote control in hand, but now when that came in, something really nice. I was expecting it. It was that this platform allows the students to not only navigate through my sessions or lectures. I don't call them lectures though, but they can navigate through the sessions as I change slides. They could take notes, annotate them to slides. They can answer questions I ask in class, so now I can engage the groups together, get them prepared for my exams, and also learn from their answers. And also, the system allows for lecture captures to happen. So now I had a way to engage the students and to keep the students in the classroom, if you want, in the moment, and not go on Facebook or anything like that. We still know they do that, but now it's a lot. It's to a very minimum now. So what I want to do from here on out, before that, so here also is that the system also allows me to engage the students before, during, and after class. Now I can be in their lives for at least 4 months. I am annoying that way, but if I can get them to study with me, rather than me lecturing to them, but if they can study with me, then I know where they are. I know how to get them prepared for the exams and for their success, at least in the course as well. Okay? All right, so the system, what does the system allow me to do? I can question everything. I can ask multiple choice questions, short answer questions, ordered lists, image quizzes, numerical responses, whatever. I can ask them questions in many different ways or assess them in many different ways, so to really see if they are learning on the moment. And whatever they give me, then I can adjust accordingly. Are they all bad? Are they all good? Is it half the class getting the right answer? So I can adjust accordingly. And other things I can do with these kinds of questions, I can set up instruction, assess prior knowledge, provoke thinking, stimulate discussion. I can assess their learning on the moment, adjust accordingly, communicate questions and answers. So there's a back channel on this platform where the students can ask me questions. I can reciprocate. Usually I have TAs to do that. Okay, and also, of course, I left out this one, develop knowledge, tackle misconceptions, which is a big one for me, and tackle conceptual understanding. So I've got them there on the moment. So rather than lecture, let's expose them to these things because that's what I'm going to assess on the final. Okay? Let's get them prepared for that. A huge part of my class when we do these clicker questions or these interactive activities, if you want, it's always about peer instruction. I always get the students to teach each other first and depending where they are after the polling, then I can adjust accordingly. Okay. Now, what's really, really cool now, and this is where my class really changed, or using this tool allowed me to change my classroom, is that it allows it to make it about the game, okay? When there's success, when they have the right answer, what do they usually do? High five. High five your neighbor. Now, go, do it for me. I'm making you fall asleep on me, okay? Great, more active engagement without technology. Do it behind, too. Yeah, all right. So when you have the right answer, you're happy, you're proud of your achievement, right? Although it's only one question, they're proud. There's feedback for them. If they didn't get the right answer, they get mad, and then they're curious, and they're getting feedback to be better. We can be very original with the types of questions we ask. We can build relationships. The fact that I got you to high five your neighbor, it's a start of a relationship if you didn't know the person. Okay, so imagine you sitting in a class of 600 or 1,000. It could be a lonely experience. So these kinds of things brings people together, and of course, lots and lots of feedback. Okay. Peek inside their minds. Okay, the other things they can do in this platform is that with this little flag over here, they can tell you that they're confused about something. All right, it's on the slide, so there's something about that slide that's confusing, so I have information on the spot, so I can react accordingly. And on the side, there's also this Q&A portal, if you want, and they can be asking me questions. They can be talking to me. So those students that are very shy, that don't want to raise their hand during lecture, they have a way to communicate with me. Now, what's also awesome this past term is one of my TAs actually decided to use that Q&A portal as a Twitter feed. She was tweeting the students that way. Phenomenal. And she had the students react to her, and they were exchanging information during class. Now, I don't know if that's good or not. It may have been a distraction at some point. But they were on message. They were on content, which was phenomenal for me. Okay? I would have never thought that would happen. So again, there's many, many different ways to communicate with them and have them communicate with you. All right. So what does the usage look like? All right. So up here, this is it's a window into their activity on a class-per-class basis. So we can see that they're using the features within the platform. So they are answering questions. They're looking at their videos after class, or they're definitely present in class and clicking into my questions and so on. So a really quick overview or Google Earth view of their usage pattern in my class, and this was last year, but this year, a quick view of it, the similar numbers are coming out. So what do we have? The attendance, I usually get around 90%. 90% attendance. And I'm not kidding about that. They're there. I know when there are pockets of absences in the class, it's not there anymore. It's always full, okay? If they're in class, they're most definitely participating. They're in class participating. Oh my God. Before I did that, guess how many people were in the classroom? This would have been my classroom. Empty seats up there. Okay? So now they're there with me and we're working together. From the platform, they also have access to my slides, my slide deck. If we look at this, at least 100% of the students viewed one presentation deck, but we look at it really throughout the entire course. 90% of the students per lecture, they were going back to the slides, okay? An average of 6 views per lecture. So this was used very, very heavily. With respect to taking notes, they can take notes in their platform and annotate them to their slides. An average 2/3 of the class was using that feature. This year I had less, but I think I figured out why. Because I was more engaged, even more engaging this year, more activities in class, so they didn't have time to take their notes that way, okay? But of the 65%, 91% have taken notes. Continuously, 65% were taking notes. 91% total took some kind of notes in there. Again, on average, 200 words per student per lecture. If I went back to my own notes when I studied during undergraduate studies, that's what I was taking, just about. Okay, so phenomenal. All right, and then they can go back to the lecture captures after class. That was also used, about 14 views per student. So it was there for them to engage with the content. So they had many, many different ways to engage with the course content, and that for me is absolutely wonderful. Okay, all right. So, outcomes, learning outcomes in my class. All right, so learning gains, the way they were calculated, I had a pre-test. So first day of class, they had an exam, much to their chagrin. They looked, what? It was one of those moments, right? Like, it's just, I'm happy they're not, and so what? We're doing it, okay. So they had a test, and of course, no one passes the test. But at the end of the year, what happens? So that test is repeated on the final day of class. Like, what, another exam? Yeah, suck it up, do it. All right. So what we see in the white bars, that's in 2011. That's the very last year I lectured to my students, okay? If you look at the white bars, that's kind of nice. The average was 30% learning gains or normalized learning gains. Is that good? The answer to that question is absolutely not. 25 to 30% is reflective of a lecturing course, okay? So that's one of the things that really convinced me to go active learning. So now in 2015 and 2014-15, now we're inching into the 60%. So that curve is going to my left, your right, okay? So that's wonderful. And when we get into the 60s now we're at the top end of active learning. So that's a wonderful result for me, okay? Now, with that in mind, does that translate into success on the final exam grades? Of course it has to be. They're learning. There's learning gains. It has to, okay? So now if we look at the results, my exam grades over the last few years, all the way down to 2011, here's what I want you to notice. Look at the red bar, which was last year, and look at the white bars. Notice what's happening. I'm getting more A pluses. That's in the 90% for us. A's and A minuses, there's a lot more. As we go to my left, your right, okay? Less F's, less failures, less D's, and so on. So I'm pushing that curve towards the 75% now, okay? That distribution of my grades, of the final exam grades, is very reflective of the final scores in the course. Now, my term ended just last Monday, and a quick calculation of the average. So in 2016, the average was 75%. This year was 77%. It was a really hard-working class. They really engaged. They complained for all the work I gave them, but that's the result we got. So morally speaking, I have to do that. Otherwise, we're going to end up in the results with the white bars. And I show them that, and that's what convinces them to jump along with me. Okay? So, as a summary, okay, so from 2011, my last year of lecturing, and 2012 to 2016, where I was using active learning technologies. Okay, the student performance on exam has jumped 7 to 10%. The final grades, definitely 10%. Now I can also swear it's going to be more. It's at least 12% now after this year. And the learning gains has jumped to 50 to all the way up to 90%. Phenomenal things there. So this active learning technology, what does it allow me to do? If I'm going to take a Google Earth view of all of that, well, it allows me to set up a learning community, a three-legged community, if you want. So the teacher with the content, pushing that to the student interacting with the content, the student can interact back with the professor, and finally, the professor pushes that to the students, and the students can work together. You can implement all kinds of teaching and learning approaches to suit your needs and to fulfill the learning outcomes of the course. Okay, so by setting up this community now, we're no longer lecturing. Who wants to be lectured at? I spoke to you for 20 minutes, and I don't want to lecture to you anymore. I want to engage you. That's way, way better. And I know drinks are coming up, so that's going to be very engaging. Relationship building, right? So that is what it allows me to accomplish my class. And when you have 600 students sitting there, that's a lot more fun than just speaking at them and getting no reaction from them. Okay? So in the end, when I take it all together, what does this allow me to do now? I'm getting all these results from the students when they're participating. I got their learning data as well. So when I put all that together, okay, it allows me to engage in scientific teaching. So this is a concept that basically states that teaching and learning is approached with the same rigor as science itself, and it calls for active learning, incorporating active learning in your course. So obviously engaging your students in their work. It also through assessment, measure student progress towards learning goals. I'm doing that on the moment. I know where they are. If they're getting 70% on their clicker questions, I can almost predict what they're going to get in the final exam, right? I know where they are. And I'm also taking advantage of diversity, differences that make the students' cohorts in teaching very unique. I can go after what's in the class and get their perspectives and share them. They can share with each other and with me. Now, what's also very powerful with that is that the data that I accumulate with that, through that, it allows me to make evidence-based decisions for the next iteration of the course, or even for the next lecture, for that matter. So I can approach my teaching with evidence instead of just saying, well, my students were awake for an hour and a half, so that must be a great teacher. Is that true? Okay, that might be a harsh comment. So on that note, I am Canadian, and I totally apologize for that. Okay? All right. And so, awesome. It's the first time I finished on time. I got 1 minute left. So thank you for your attention, and have a good night and good drinks. Thank you.
Colin, thank you. That was absolutely fascinating. And it gave me a lot to think about how you measure the impact of blended learning and what tools you might use. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll see you at the drinks very shortly.